There's not a single person in the audience today who hasn't read one of these types of articles and has been questioning what the future will be like for individuals who will work and live in tomorrow's future. It was about a month ago, I was on the phone with Marco and Farvest, and we were just having a simple conversation about the future. And one comment was made, and to some degree what I had dictated back was, you have to rethink what the future will be like in a world of AI and how to lead in that new environment. My gut reaction was very simple. The question was, or the comment was, well, of course, creativity will be the type of role that we'll have to have in the future, right? That word right is an assumptive right. It means that I say right and you're supposed to agree with me. You're not supposed to say something back. I tend to be the person who says something back. And I said, no, you're absolutely wrong. Creativity won't be the future, and let me share with you why. What I did then is I described, in my head, I had to outline what's the definition of creativity. So for you, think about what creativity means. It is the creation of a new idea, a new concept. Maybe it's artistic. Maybe it is a different approach. We all have our own definitions of what creativity means. And in the context of that, we define our future. In this one particular situation, I outlined several different examples of what I thought would be creative to Farvest. For the first example, and I'll give you four very quickly. The first one was, have you ever read a sports article and not realized it's been written by artificial intelligence? As a matter of fact, today, many sports articles are written by artificial intelligence. A friend of mine runs a company in San Francisco. What they did is they did a test. They took humans, writers, sports writers, and they said, go out and write about this one event. So they went out and they interviewed people and they watched the game. And several hours later, they came back with a story about what happened during that game. They then took their AI, they fed it information about the game. They said, go out to the web, and they went to the videos, looked to the closed caption. The AI then put that into the Google sentiment engine, looked for nouns, verbs, and adjectives, understood what happened, at what time during the game, but watched hundreds of videos if available, knew every sports player, knew every game that's been played on that field, knew the wind, the sun, and wrote an article in less than a few minutes that was equal to the one written by the writer. That would be considered a creative example. If you've ever watched YouTube, and I've got to believe everybody in the audience has watched YouTube, and you've seen a video, for example, from a news company, the one Vox on the bottom, Vox in 2017 started using an artificial video editing system. Wibbits is the company. They take a story, a narrative that's written. It's digested by AI. The AI then looks for videos, free and non, adds the content, adds the voiceover, and you have watched videos that had no human interaction in them to create them. In Japan, a team of AI scientists created an algorithm or programming that allowed the AI to write a fiction book. They took that book, they entered into a competition of 1,450 other applicants, and it started winning. At the bottom, you'll see two photographs. Well, they're actually not photographs. They asked the AI to be creative and design humans. And that's what they came up with. Those people are not real. If you were to say that creativity is doing something new and unique, then that's creative. But let me give you a better example. Google started, there's a game of Go. It's a 2,500-year-old game, an Asian game. And if you were, and anyone in this audience were able to come up with a new way to play that game, you would be a savant. If you had new moves, you would be brilliant. So what Google did is created AlphaGo, an AI platform. They gave it machine learning, millions of games to watch, and then they had it compete against the #1 in the world. AlphaGo is so challenging that there are so many moves and so many plays that it's more than the total atoms we have in the entire universe of options, an infinite amount. It's not like chess where you can force the game. When it played, it won 4-1. It beat the player. But people said they've never seen moves like this. The computer was a savant. Google then went and created DeepMind. And that software in over 40 days beat Google AlphaGo 100-0. Don't be lax to believe that tomorrow is about creativity. It is not. We are already using AI to do driverless cars. Not as perfect. Elon Musk predicts, because he has 500,000 cars on the road today, digesting over 100 gigabytes of data, terabytes of data every day for one car. He expects by next year, it'll be more likely you'll have a car accident if you drive the car than if the AI does. It's progressing that fast. We can use this in legal terms to figure out who's going to win a case, and movies have already been written by AI. There's not a job out there that's safe. This is not to make you feel bad. It's to make you think differently. This is the future we're entering into. You're HR professionals. If you believe that creativity is the future, then you will lead your teams down the wrong path. There's not a job up there that can't be replaced. Not a single one. Let's take the architect in the beginning, the first one, to make it simple. I can give every piece of information on, for example, the legal ramifications or legal concerns of building a structure. I could give it all the material and the sciences behind it, the number of people, the number of rooms, the number of executives. I could tell it who it services. I can then give it all the architecture dimensions that have ever been created in Luxembourg all at once, and then say, create something different. Do you not believe that AI won't be able to come back with different shapes and sizes and colors that a human would not have been able to do? That's an architect. And a teacher? Come on. How many of you not given a tablet to a child and said, learn? And then went off and done some cooking? We're teaching. AI is here. It's already in our lives. The question is, are we being fooled into believing that creativity is the future? So the question is, how do you address this? What do you do as a leader in an environment that's constantly changing, where automatic AI is becoming automated? I had a company in South Africa. We did computational social science with artificial intelligence and machine learning to do predictive analytics and network analysis, and we had an automatic AI generator. The algorithm would be created, and then it would create its own. And we're finding that the AI is able to create on its own better than a human can. So how would I represent, or how would I say to somebody to build a company of tomorrow? I don't want a team of the same people. So let's take funds, which is very big in Luxembourg, and let's change the dynamics. Let's take a team of 10 people who are experts in legal and accounting and finance, everything to do with funds. And let's take another team, one fund expert, but we have a person whose background is social sciences, and another one happens to know it was an English major, and another one was drama, and another one travels around the world and was a blogger for years. And we asked them to create a company to compete. I bet you in 5 years, that tech company will digest much of the fund company, because they think differently. It's not the creative, it's the combination of the diversity that comes together with looking at different ways. But it's not going to beat the AI in the future. It's a game we're playing today. It's a race to see who will win. Nike and Boeing today are using sci-fi writers to write their story of their future because these people think differently. They hire them to say, what would be the story of the future? And they take that to be able to make new decisions. Is that happening in your company? Were you being that creative? Now, this could be, for some of you, the demise of AI. It is not that. It's each industry is going to have its own pace and time. If you're in fashion and you're creating a heel company that I'm advising, a women's heel company, we're not using AI to do the design, but we're using some AI in the background. If we're doing funds, well, companies today are trading, they put their offices or their trading floors as close to the exchange as possible to be able to take advantage of the milliseconds of the speed of light. Our trading is all AI. Don't be fooled into belief there are humans involved in this at all. It's not. If you're doing PCBs and doing electronics, you're using them in your accounting department. You don't have to use it in manufacturing, but it is being used in manufacturing. Solar, energy technology, even agriculture. I spoke 10 years ago for an ag organization, and they were using satellite technology and GPS technology to have tractors go 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers a day and never touch the wheel. One guy told me he watches a lot of soap operas because he's there just in case something goes wrong. That was 10 years ago. So if I was to suggest to somebody in the audience to look at places you've never thought of, start looking at some of the tech that's out there so you're more prepared. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, 3D printing, synthetic engineering, sensor tech. In the history of mankind, these have not merged, and they're merging. So we can take an AI, have it work with a robot that takes a 3D part, assembles it, and creates the next step of the next iteration of it and redoes that again. This is the first time in history we're capable of doing that. Your job as HR professionals or people in the space or leading is to figure out where we'll be tomorrow, like a football player trying to be where the ball is before it's actually gotten there. So let me take you down a notch because you can get very excited about the fact that this could be scary. I did a presentation in Hong Kong. I live in Hong Kong and in New York. And while I was there, they asked me to speak on the future. And one day I woke up and said, something's wrong here. What are the opportunities in the future? And I said, let me go back to 1900. And I took an image of 1900, which is on the far left. 1910, 1920, 1930, 1940, 1950. I went all the way up just to get a feel for what people perceive the future will be like. I don't see a flying car outside. By the year 2000, we're supposed to have flying cars. Every one of you, I guaranteed, woke up in a bed with sheets. You went to the toilet. You took a shower with water, no ray beams. You went to the kitchen and maybe turned on the stove. You still have your stove, don't you? Still have heat. Our lives are not that much different. So much of what's hyped is not going to happen. However, at the same time, in places you won't expect it will. Because it's happening in the background, and it's happening faster than we've ever anticipated. We're ahead of our AR development. I can't predict where it will be fastest, but I can tell you it's going to be faster. And your job, is to always make sure your leadership team, your teams are ahead. So what's the new role? Everything's in motion. Your job is no longer to hire somebody for a job for the next 2 years. Your job is to find a person to do that job, knowing that in 18 months, that job will no longer be that job. That person will have to be transformed to this job. This person will have to go to that job, and that one will have to go over there. And I need to hire new people. And by the way, in 2 years, you won't be needed anymore. That's your job. Figure out the moves well in advance of the moves themselves. You happen to be playing against AI when you do it. And you can use AI today to help make those decisions. And that's what makes it fun. It gives opportunities. Mark Cuban, which is the quote that I found earlier, and I wasn't looking for an American when I gave the example, but Mark Cuban had just recently said, I am going to use AI. I'm going to use every tool at my disposal to win. So if you're not going to use it because you're so involved in loving and hugging and kissing and being a mentor and a spirit and making sure everybody's kumbaya and they love each other at work, Mark Cuban's not doing that. I live in Hong Kong. We're not doing that. The work we're doing in Korea, we're not doing that. The work I'm doing in Russia, they're not doing it. So you have choices. Mark Cuban says, I'm going to use it for good. I think you can use it for good too. We just have to be the winners at playing the game. We're not entering the fourth dimension, the fourth industrial revolution. We're entering the age of infinite possibilities. The challenge for you is, are you the person who's going to be playing this game and playing to win? Because AI is here. And by the way, this presentation was created on an AI platform. Thank you.